All right. Will Ashland, your pallet is on the way. I'll send you the BOL here in a second. Real quick on the, I'll do a specific video next time I have a shipment. I thought, the information that I've learned over the years is pretty handy, especially to take advantage of some of the shipping rates that are available to you guys when you're moving a lot of stuff, so all at once. And nobody taught me. I had to learn the hard way. But speaking of the hard way, the LMS Ultra that I had to put new holes on, just a word to the wise, just because M8 metric 8mm by 1mm thread pitch, just because it exists doesn't mean it's popular. So the popular standard on that is 1.25, just so you know, because I went looking for hardware so that I could bolt on the frame, and there's nothing. Luckily though, and I'll leave a link to the place, it's over on 32nd Street and Broadway, a link to the place that has rare hardware. So, and I couldn't get the socket heads that I wanted, and I couldn't get stainless that I wanted, but I got something today, and then I can drop off the frame to get modified so that it'll take the hex head, so which is fine. It's a time saver, but I wanted to put that out to everybody, so keep the blinky lights away from the camera. Let's see. Oh, today is my 28th anniversary of being married to the same woman, something my parents wouldn't do. We were reviewing at breakfast this morning some of the differences in our parents, the way that as you get older, you realize when your parents were being dicks and when they were trying to help you do the right thing, and so her parents were some pretty bitter cunts, for lack of a better word, and that still shows up in her orneriness. So, but she's learning how to reprogram herself to be more compliant, to be more civil, and to learn how to negotiate. That's the biggest thing that she never was taught, was that really the way, and this is true for a lot of people, and especially women, is that all they got to do is do a huff, like a huh, and you're supposed to, that's your cue to adjust the air conditioner, or that she's just mad at you, and you got to learn how to read those things, and that's an insane way to communicate. And it often lies with tantrums, which is also not a great way to communicate as an adult. As a child, sure, I can see having a meltdown in the ice cream aisle when you say no to a child. Sure, that's pretty common. It's still not acceptable, but it's common. But as an adult, that's pretty not great, and that's what we've been dealing with. Just because Sherry has really high expectations on what she wants from me, and luckily I've been strong enough to carry on even with her disapproval of many of my policies. And my strength also served me in leaving my family and being able to provide for myself and live the kind of life that I've always wanted. And so of course it didn't do well with her family. Her mom did make a last-ditch effort before she died, which was great, and we had probably a 4-hour conversation, and we talked about a bunch of things, her mom and I, and it was good. And it was good that I felt like she found some peace by forgiving me for really nothing that I did. It was just the way that her mom, Marlene, had expectations in her head. So the dad's a different story. The dad's the 3-time Purple Heart recipient, Vietnam veteran, with Parkinson's. And you know, one of my mentors, George Adair, who also had Parkinson's, which led to his death, he actually turned on me a couple times. And I know that Parkinson's sometimes makes people not so agreeable, and that's what my father-in-law is going through right now. And it was funny because Sherry and I were talking about, does Sherry have the courage to finally stand up to him? And she still says no, which is, fine. She'll do it in her own time. I just hope she does it before he dies. There's a little bit more satisfaction about standing up to your parents, because many times, like I said before, earlier in the conversation, as an adult, you can look back and see when your parents were doing something that was, good for you as a kid, but you can also see when they were being dicks, and it was, unnecessary for them to do what they did. And banning me at on Christmas Eve, or banning us, I should say, because my father-in-law did that to me, and I don't know, I still don't understand what the point of that was. So to me, it was funny because I called him a fool for doing it and an idiot. And the story that he tells now is that, well, how come you don't talk to your son-in-law or your daughter? And he'll say, he called me an idiot. I'm like, well, I only called you an idiot after you did something really stupid, which was ban me at Christmas from your house. And he doesn't realize, or he didn't realize, that my wife and I, his daughter, are married. And you're just going to ban me, and then she's going to keep coming over? Like, well, how divisive is that, you fuck? I don't care how many times the Viet Cong used you for target practice. I don't care how many fucking Purple Hearts you got. That's a stupid thing to do. So, but again, you can live your life your own way, and the way that you gave, you laid it down to me, and the way that my mom even laid it down to me is my way or the highway. And I was like, don't get mad when I choose the highway. Don't get mad. But do they get mad? Yes, they got mad. So I'm like, peace out, motherfuckers. So, but my parents were some, how do I say this? Sociopath, narcissistic motherfuckers. So my dad was the jock and my mom was the cheerleader. And it wasn't until like my senior year of high school did I understand why I hated those people. Some of it was bullying. Some of it was just people that just think their shit doesn't stink and they're better than you. And of course, that's not true. And it requires courage in order to stand up to those kinds of people. Those kinds of people just are, they're brats, and typically they're good looking. And I still want to do my rant on the downfall of women because they're good looking, or even just because they have a vagina. It fucks them up. And for those types of people in those groups, it fucks them up to be popular. But they'll sacrifice just about anything to win. And that if you check out my posts here on YouTube, anytime I find a really good video or a news article or something like that, pay attention to my posts. There's a lot of good information there. So there was one from Charlie Munger this morning that was really good. And I knew who Charlie was some years ago, but I never heard some of his pearls of wisdom, and it was fucking great stuff. So, and I highly recommend him. I think that was it. My parents sucked. And what's funny is my dad passed away in 2008, and my mom is still alive. But my mom, it's so funny. She at times would take credit for my success. But at the same time, she had this meltdown one time where she's like, the only reason you're successful is because you didn't have children. And I'm like, so I'm successful. Yay. I'm glad you know that I'm successful. Fuck off. But sometimes I caught her bragging about me, because of either my comedic talent or because of whatever, my knowledge about speakers and things like that. But the only way that I learned from her was from her bad examples, because as a child, she fucking scarred me for life. However, if you look under any, super successful person, that's what they had. They had like a shitty childhood. Then they decided long ago to put themselves on a path that is not for normal people. And I'm loud and proud now that I'm not a normal person. And it's not that I think that I'm better than everybody. I wanted to do other things that people don't find a priority. Like for me, I wanted to be able to work from home so that I could be with my kids. Why? Because, you know, when I was a little kid, I had a dream about my dad coming home. He was a long haul truck driver. And, you know, my heartbeat was, I heard through my eardrum in the cheap, like, death pillow. It was a pillow made of styrofoam beads. Choking hazard, big time. But to me, it sounded like the gravel, like when you're walking on gravel, you know, when you walk on gravel, it makes that sort of noise, like where you're walking through snow. And as a kid, of course, I didn't put two and two together, and I thought my dad had come home. And I ran to the backyard where we could look over the fence, and of course, the truck wasn't there. I was heartbroken. And so at that moment, I decided that I would never do that to my kids. And that's one of the reasons why I always wanted to work at home. Now, having my father's personality and business sense, that certainly helped. And the Air Force was like, yeah, we can part ways, because if you see something stupid, you're going to say, hey, this is stupid. And I'm like, yeah. And they're like, no, that's not good for the Air Force. So, but I'm also not good for corporate America and having a job. And so, you know, I definitely move the goalposts on myself, and I make things hard for myself when I could just, you know, take the easy route. But I don't know. I don't want to do it that way. I want to earn it, and I want to feel proud. And I'm glad about the things that I've done in the way that I've done. What was it? There was something else I wanted to talk about. Somebody was bitching about, why would you sell non-badged, you know, audio equipment? And I was like, because nobody else is doing it, you know. And he's like, well, only an idiot would do that. I'm like, okay, well then, you know, then go fuck off. Go do yourself, you know, go do that. Go do your brand. To me, I told him that, I said, well, the product is for entrepreneurs or people that just don't want to be brand whores, right? They want high performance, good quality stuff, but they don't want to sit there and, you know, show it off and basically advertise for that brand, you know. And that's what that guy, the Woolly Shoes guy, figured out as well. He's like, why can't we make a really good, sustainable, awesome shoe that doesn't advertise the fuck out of the brand? You know, like why have we turned, well, why has Fifth Avenue turned people into brand whores? And that takes me back to Gucci creation. I'll put a link to that video in there, and that hit it on the head for me, which was basic bitches wear that shit, because I don't even bother. It's a fucking, why would I be a billboard for a fucking brand that gives no shits about me? Why would I do that? And really, that's about taking back personal power. And that's what makes you powerful, is when you don't give away your personal power. That links back to my final thing, because I'm almost home, is one of the issues that, you know, my wife habits that she would do is she would give her personal power away to me, but then she wouldn't like the policies that I put in place. And, you know, even from the beginning of the marriage, I was like, do you have any better ideas? And she's like, no. And I go, well, then we're going with my idea. And she would get mad, and she would hold grudges against me, because it's just like, you know, we should have done this. And I'm like, well, at the time, you didn't speak up. Whether, you know, you didn't speak up or you didn't have any good ideas back then. But that's how you get good ideas, is you fucking get burned and you go, maybe I shouldn't do that. Maybe I can do it a different way. Maybe, you know, at the time, I didn't know a better way. And be okay with that. Be okay with failure. Well, in her family, failure was bad. Doing poorly in school was bad. And if you listen to Robert Kiyosaki, he says the same thing, which is that that's what the school system teaches you, that messing up is bad. And what's funny is that's how you learn, is messing up and then doing it again, just like in a video game, right? If you can't pass the level, and the first thing you're like, what am I not paying attention to, right? This level boss, you know, he's got a weak spot. I got to find the weak spot. And so for me, that's, and I just watched a video on this too with Elon Musk talking about that education for children should be as compelling as a video game, right? Because they'll play video games all day long. But if you can put some math in there, like they have to do a math problem in order to you know, get a level up or whatever it is, I think that's a much better use of time. Sherry and I this morning at breakfast, we were talking about how I really do not miss the pressure of being late for school and getting to school on time, and you know, because there was such stigma and punishment for that sort of thing. And then, like, most of school is just socializing or walking to class or getting settled into class. I went to public school, by the way, here in Mesa. And there's not really a lot of learning. And the most of the learning that you're supposed to do, you do on your own time anyway. You're supposed to read a book, right? Or read a chapter. And then you come into class and you review it and then you quiz on it. That's it. That's all the learning is. When you look at it objectively, you're like, why don't I just read a fucking book? And so that's the other thing. Elon Musk has also talked about this. Is like, why are we teaching? Why do we have to take 12 years of fucking English? Right? I don't want to be a writer or whatever, or maybe I'm good at that. I don't know. It's what you really should do is do personality tests and aptitude tests on kids, even semi-annual or annual, and find out what they're good at so we can put them in something that they like, or find a combination of things. One of the things I discovered about myself in high school is that I like to use left and right brain equally. So I like art. I like especially fine art, but I also like science. And for me, that's what speaker building and even building skateboard ramps has really done for me. One of the things was I was short on a math credit. Actually, two math credits because I got into arguments with my fucking algebra teachers. So I ended up having to take a summer school class in geometry. And when I was able to relate it to skateboard ramps and how to figure out things, and also speaker boxes to figure out volume and things like that, oh my God, I was a fucking ace. And of course, I took the class pass-fail, but I passed and I was one of the top students. The next year, my final year, senior year, I took a physics class, and the guy was an idiot, Mr. Matheson. Oh my God, he was terrible. And so I ended up condensing my classes so that I could have a late start in the day. I didn't have to go to like periods 1 and 2 or something like that. And so I got into Mr. Snow's class, and Mr. Snow ended up being teacher of the year that year. And again, I took a pass-fail, and I became one of the top students in the class. And what kills me is that I had that potential the whole time I was in school, and nobody recognized it. Nobody cared. Even, of course, you have a guidance counselor, but my guidance counselor just seemed more obsessed about putting on lipstick every time she drank out of a cup. It was disgusting. Counselors don't know what to do. They don't, again, when I grew up, this was in the 80s and 90s, in schools, they still don't care. They care more about you being late, about not missing a quiz, about parental participation when you go home, and it's like a burden, and the whole system just fucking sucks. And that's also what helped me inspire to be a better person, personally, and also financially, and as well as the capabilities of learning. And those are all expressed in my life that I have now. So I just turned 48, and I'm on fire, man. I feel fucking great. I could use a little weight loss and dial down on the beatus. But other than that, I feel really good, even though I'm trapped in this fucking house. And but I have a plan, and I want to escape. And I'm glad you guys have tuned in, and I'm glad to share this life with you because I want to share any secrets I possibly can, mostly just for something. I want to treat people the way that I wish I could be treated. Okay. And so I share these things with you so that you can excel, so that you don't put up with the bullshit that people at society, whether the government or whoever the fuck it is, puts in your way, and the bullshit. I got a whole other rant on some other stuff I want to review now that we got a nice larger audience. So, but I love you guys. I love you, Sherry. This is great. 28 years with you. And I learned so much, something that I could never learn just, slipping and dipping in some hose. But I had a sexy time dream of, what's her name? Built by Becky. Oh my God. She's awesome to watch on Instagram. But it reminded me of, this girl, this cutie in high school that had a crush on me, but I ignored her. And it was the dumbest thing. I wish I would have tapped it. But she was kind of young, and I was probably a junior or even a senior. But again, it just tells me I need to jack off. That's what it tells me I need to do. But having regrets is for most part, especially if you're American and a man and white, you have no fucking excuses. You've got it made. And so the best thing you can do is create a legacy for you and your family, and create some education and some time that you can spend with your family. And so again, back to, the things that I feel in my heart, which is love one another, be kind to one another, and, and even to people that are shitty on you, you can cut them out of your life. Don't be afraid of that. So even if there's a social stigma to it. So, but I love you guys. Take care. I'm going to go watch the fucking Matrix in the theater in the middle of the week. See, that's the thing is, that's what I was talking about earlier, is like, I have a life now where I can go to the grocery store and it's only old people and me, because of my job. And then, we're going to go to the movie theater in the middle of the fucking day. And it's great because there's nobody going to be there. And we got some gift cards from like 3 years ago for Harkins. And we even have where is it at? They probably will throw it in the trash. Oh, I can't find it. You used to be able to get a free refill if you bought a large. And then what people like me would do is you just eat it once, and then you get kind of sick to your stomach. You're like, okay, that's enough popcorn. And then you save the bag and then bring it back next time, and then you get a free refill. So we're going to do that like 3 years later and see what's happened. Of course, things have changed a lot in the last 3 years with COVID and things like that, but it's going to be interesting to see how they react or whatever. But anyways, I love, and they used to do like souvenir cups too, and you'd pass them over the counter and they'd kind of rinse them out or whatever and put, they're not going to do that anymore. So I love you guys. Talk to you later.